Owen Harris had never seen so many different kinds of faces in one room. Some had scales that gleamed under the lights. Others had too many eyes or not enough. A few did not have faces at all, just shifting clouds of gas held together by force fields. They all wore the same gray uniform, but that was where the similarities ended. The orientation hall buzzed with voices in dozens of languages. Translation devices worked overtime to make sense of it all. Owen sat near the back watching everything. He had learned long ago that watching told you more than talking ever could. A massive creature walked to the front of the hall. It stood on 4 legs, each as thick as tree trunks. 2 more arms extended from its upper body, and its head was covered in dark green scales that looked harder than steel. When it spoke, the translation device in Owen's ear rendered the words in flat, emotionless English. "I am Commandant Harrell. Welcome to the Galactic Defense Academy on Thornhaven." The creature's eyes swept across the room, lingering on the small group of humans sitting together. "You come from 43 different worlds. You speak different languages. You worship different gods. You eat different foods. But here you will all learn the same truth." Harrell paused, letting the silence stretch out. "War does not care where you come from. It only cares if you survive." Owen noticed several cadets sitting up straighter. A few nodded. He kept his expression neutral. "This academy exists for one purpose," Harrell continued, "to create bonds between warriors and war beasts. For 10,000 years, every elite soldier in the Galactic Defense Coalition has fought alongside a bonded beast. These creatures are not pets. They are not tools. They are partners who share your mind, your will, and your fate." A hologram appeared above Harrell's head. It showed a massive creature that looked like a cross between a bear and a dragon. It had armor-like scales, powerful legs, and eyes that glowed with intelligence. The creature in the hologram stood beside a warrior, and even through the projection, Owen could sense the connection between them. "War beasts are apex predators from this world," Harrell said.
"They evolved to dominate, to hunt, to survive."
"They are intelligent enough to speak through mental bonds. They are strong enough to tear through steel. And they are selective enough to reject 9 out of every 10 cadets who try to bond with them." Nervous whispers spread through the hall. Owen heard the human cadet next to him, a woman named Davis, mutter something under her breath. "The bonding ceremony will begin tomorrow," Harrell said. "You will enter the arena one at a time. A war beast will be released. It will roar at you. This roar is not just sound. It is a psychic pressure that tests your mental strength, your will to stand firm when every instinct screams at you to run. If you flee, you fail. If you stand but the beast senses weakness in your spirit, you fail. Only if you stand firm and the beast senses something worthy in you will the bond form." The hologram changed to show a cadet standing in an arena. A war beast emerged from a gate, circled the cadet, and roared. The sound did not come through the hologram, but Owen saw the cadet stagger backwards, hands pressed to their head. After a moment, the cadet turned and ran. The beast watched them go with what looked like disappointment. "Failure is not shameful," Harrell said. "Most of you will fail. Those who do will serve in other capacities. Support roles are vital to any military, but those who succeed, those who bond, will become something greater than either warrior or beast alone." After the orientation ended, Owen walked through the academy grounds. Thornhaven's sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of purple and orange that Earth's sky never quite managed. The academy sprawled across several square miles with training facilities, dormitories, and research buildings all connected by covered walkways. He found himself drawn to the southern edge of the grounds, where a massive arena stood apart from the others. Unlike the newer structures made of gleaming metal and smart glass, this arena was built from rough stone. It looked ancient. Heavy chains sealed the main entrance, and warning signs in multiple languages covered every surface. Owen stopped in front of it. From inside he heard something, a sound that was not quite a roar, not quite a growl. It resonated in his chest, made his teeth ache. But underneath the power, underneath the threat, he heard something else. Something that sounded almost like sadness. "You should not be here," Owen turned. An elderly maintenance worker approached, his scales faded with age. He was the same species as Commandant Harrell, but smaller, older, moving with the careful steps of someone whose joints hurt. "I was just walking," Owen said. The worker looked at the sealed arena, then back at Owen. "You are one of the humans, yes? The new species?" "Yes." "Then you should especially not be here." The worker moved closer, lowering his voice. "This is Greyclaw's arena. Do you know this name?" Owen shook his head. Greyclaw was the greatest war beast ever born on Thornhaven. 80 years ago, he bonded with a warrior named Steelmark. Together, they fought in 17 campaigns. They never lost a battle. They saved entire worlds. The worker's voice grew softer. Then Steelmark fell in combat. A plasma blast that not even his armor could stop. Greyclaw carried his body back to base and has not bonded since. 80 years? Owen said. 80 years of waiting. 80 years of testing every cadet who thinks themselves worthy. Some he rejects with a glance. Others he roars at until they break. 3 he killed when they attacked him, thinking they could force a bond through dominance. The worker shook his head. Commandant Harrell keeps him here away from the other beasts. Some say it is mercy. Others say it is because Harrell hopes Greyclaw will find someone worthy again. Another sound came from inside the arena. Definitely sadder this time. Why does he stay? Owen asked. If the bond is broken, why not just leave? The worker looked at Owen with something like respect. That is a good question. Most cadets ask why he kills or how to defeat him. You ask why he stays. He turned back to the arena. War beasts mate for life, they bond for life. Greyclaw stays because leaving would mean admitting Steelmark is truly gone. He waits because hope is all he has left. Owen stood there for a long time after the worker left. Inside the arena, Greyclaw made no more sounds. But Owen felt something, a presence that seemed to press against his thoughts. Not hostile, not welcoming either, just aware. He walked back to the human dormitory as night fell. The other 4 humans were gathered in the common area, talking nervously about tomorrow's ceremony. Davis saw him come in. Where were you? She asked. Walking, Owen said. Thinking? About the bonding? About why we are really here. Davis laughed, but it sounded nervous. To prove humans can fight alongside the rest of the galaxy. To show we belong in the coalition. Owen nodded slowly. Maybe. Or maybe to prove we can stand up when something tries to knock us down. You make it sound simple, Davis said. Standing up is simple, Owen replied. It is everything that comes before and after that gets complicated. He went to his room and lay down, but sleep took a long time to come. He kept hearing that sound from the arena, kept feeling that presence pressing against his thoughts. Somewhere in the darkness, an ancient war beast waited for something he had not found in 80 years. Owen wondered what that something was. He wondered if anyone really knew. Tomorrow the bonding would begin. Tomorrow cadets would face war beasts and either forge connections that would define their lives or walk away to serve in other roles. Owen thought about the farm back on Earth, about raising his siblings after their parents died, about years of responsibility and weight and keeping going because stopping was not an option. He thought about survival, about what it meant to stand firm not because you were unafraid but because fear did not get to make the choice for you. Somewhere in the darkness, Greyclaw waited. Tomorrow, so would Owen. Morning arrived with the sound of bells echoing across the academy grounds. Owen dressed in his gray uniform and joined the other cadets streaming toward the main arena. The air felt electric with nerves and excitement. Some cadets walked with confidence, others with barely controlled fear. Owen simply walked. The arena was enormous, built to hold thousands of spectators. Today it held only the cadets, the instructors, and the war beasts waiting in chambers beneath the floor. Owen found a seat in the middle section, neither too eager nor too withdrawn. Davis sat beside him, her leg bouncing with nervous energy. I barely slept, she whispered, kept dreaming about running away. That is natural, Owen said, is it? Davis looked at him. You seem calm. Seeming and being are different things. Commandant Harrell entered the arena floor and silence fell immediately. Behind him came 3 other instructors, each from a different species. One resembled a mantis made of crystal. Another was a cloud of glowing particles. The third was a massive slug-like creature that moved on hundreds of tiny legs. Today you face your first real test, Rel announced. What you feel here will determine your path. Remember this. War beasts do not bond with perfection. They bond with truth. Whatever you are, be that fully. Deception will fail. Pretense will fail. Only authenticity survives the roar. The first cadet called was a scaleborn named Redhorn. He walked to the center of the arena with visible pride, his chest thrust out, his scales gleaming. A gate opened and a war beast emerged. It was smaller than the one in yesterday's hologram, but still massive, easily 12 feet tall at the shoulder. Its scales were deep blue, its eyes golden. The beast circled Redhorn once, twice. Then it stopped and roared. Owen felt the sound in his bones even from his seat. It was not just noise. It carried weight, presence, a psychic pressure that pushed against his mind. He saw Redhorn stagger, saw his proud posture crumble, but the cadet held his ground, teeth clenched, fists tight. The roar ended. The beast stepped forward and pressed its head against Redhorn's chest. A visible shimmer passed between them, like heat waves over summer pavement. Redhorn gasped, his eyes going wide, and then he smiled. His hand rose to touch the beast's scales, moving with familiarity despite having never touched it before. Bond formed, Rel announced. Next cadet. The ceremony continued. Owen watched each attempt with careful attention. A insectoid cadet bonded successfully. A gaseous cadet failed, their form flickering with distress before they fled the arena. Another scaleborn stood firm but was rejected, the beast simply turning away after its roar, showing no interest. Then came the first human. A man named Wilson, former military from Earth's Pacific region. He walked to the center with parade ground precision. The war beast that emerged for him had scarlet scales and moved with predatory grace. The roar came. Wilson's face went white. His knees buckled. For a moment, Owen thought he might stand, might push through. But then Wilson turned and ran, not walked, ran for the exit. The beast watched him go without expression. Failure, Harrell said, his voice neutral. Next cadet. 2 more aliens bonded successfully. Another failed. Then Davis was called. She stood slowly, took a deep breath, and walked to the center. Owen saw her hands shaking. The war beast that came for her was gray with darker stripes, lean and dangerous looking. The roar hit her like a physical blow. Davis actually stumbled backwards several steps. But she stopped herself, planted her feet, and stayed. Her whole body trembled. Sweat poured down her face. The roar went on and on, longer than any previous attempt. Finally it stopped. The beast approached Davis slowly. It circled her once, sniffed the air around her. Then it turned and walked back to its chamber without a second glance. Rejection, Hrell said. Next cadet. Davis walked back to her seat, her face blank with shock. Owen said nothing. Sometimes silence was the only real comfort. Another human tried and fled within seconds. More aliens succeeded and failed in equal measure. The process took hours. Owen watched it all, noting patterns. The war beasts did not seem to care about species or size or strength. Some of the largest, most physically impressive cadets were rejected. Some of the smallest, most seemingly fragile bonded easily. Finally, Hrell called for a break. The cadets who had bonded left with their beast to begin preliminary training. Those who had failed gathered in quiet groups. Those who had not yet tried sat in tense silence. Owen left the arena and walked the grounds. He found himself at the sealed arena again. The chains still held the entrance shut, but he heard movement inside. Heavy footsteps, the scrape of claws on stone. You came back. The elderly maintenance worker appeared again carrying tools. He looked at Owen with curiosity. I keep thinking about what you said, Owen admitted. About Greyclaw waiting. Dangerous thoughts, human. The worker set down his tools. Every year a few cadets convince themselves they can be the one to bond with Greyclaw. Every year they fail. Some die. What makes them fail? Pride, usually. They think they are special, chosen, destined. Greyclaw can sense that. War beasts do not care about destiny. They care about character. The worker paused. What is your name, human? Owen. Owen. I am called Broken Scale because of this. He pointed to a scar across his snout. I earned it 60 years ago working with war beasts. One did not like how I cleaned its chamber. It reminded me that I was small and it was not. But you kept working with them. Yes, because understanding them matters more than being hurt by them. Broken Scale studied Owen. Why do you come here? The bonding ceremony continues this afternoon. You will face a beast soon. I know, but I needed to think first about what. Owen looked at the sealed arena. About what it means to stand firm. Everyone says you must be strong, must be brave. But I think it is something else. I think it is about being honest about what you are, even when that truth is not impressive. Broken Scale made a sound that might have been a laugh. You are a strange human, Owen. Most warriors want to impress. You want to be honest? Impressing people never kept my family fed, Owen said. Being honest about how hard things were, that helped. That let me make real choices instead of pretending everything was fine. The worker nodded slowly. That might be wisdom, or it might be foolishness. With war beasts, the difference is hard to see until it is too late. Owen returned to the arena for the afternoon session. More cadets bonded, more failed. The ratio seemed almost exactly what Hrel had predicted. 9 failures for every success. The failed cadets sat together, their disappointment obvious. The successful ones left with their beasts, already moving in sync, their mental bonds beginning to form fully. Wilson, the first human who had failed, sat alone. Owen went to him. "How do you feel?" Owen asked. "Like I wasted everyone's time," Wilson said bitterly. "I served in combat for 6 years, fought in actual battles, but I could not stand up to a roar." "The roar is not about combat experience," Owen said. "Then what is it about?" Owen thought about that. "I think it is about what you are when nothing else is watching. Who you are when you cannot pretend anymore." Wilson looked at him. "And who are you, Harris?" "Someone who learned to stand firm because sitting down was not an option. Not because I was brave, because I had people depending on me and they did not care if I was scared." "That is not very heroic." "No," Owen agreed, "but it kept me standing." The ceremony ended as Thornhaven's sun began to set. Hrel announced that remaining cadets would face their beasts tomorrow. Owen walked back to the dormitory with the other unbonded humans. Davis sat in the common area staring at nothing. "I stood there," she said to no one in particular. "I did not run, but it still rejected me." "Maybe it was not about standing," Owen said quietly. "Maybe it was about why you stood." "What does that mean?" "I think the beast can sense our reasons. If we stand because we want to impress others, or because we are afraid of failing, or because we think we should, they know. They feel it. Then what reason works?" Owen had no answer for that. He went to his room and stood at the window, looking out at the academy grounds. In the distance, he could see the sealed arena where Greyclaw waited. 80 years of rejecting everyone. 80 years of looking for something that every cadet so far had lacked. Owen thought about his siblings back on Earth. Thought about his parents, gone too soon. Thought about nights when he was 15 and responsible for children only a few years younger than himself. Thought about learning that being strong did not mean never feeling weak. It meant feeling weak and doing what needed doing anyway. Tomorrow he would face a war beast. Maybe one of the regular ones, young and eager to bond, or maybe if he asked they would let him face Greyclaw. Part of him knew that was foolish. 3 cadets had died. Dozens more had been rejected. What made him think he would be different? But another part of him remembered that sound from the arena, that presence, that feeling of something waiting, not with aggression but with loneliness. Maybe the question was not what made him different. Maybe the question was whether different even mattered. Tomorrow would answer. Tonight Owen simply stood at the window and waited for sleep to come. Rain fell on Thornhaven during the night. Owen woke to the sound of it drumming against the roof. The storm had passed by the time he dressed, leaving the air clean and sharp. He joined the other unbonded cadets for morning training. Physical. Exercises that seemed designed more to burn off nervous energy than build real strength. An instructor named Whisper led the session. Whisper belonged to the Voidborn species, a being of luminous gas contained by a personal force field. When Whisper spoke, the sound came from speakers attached to the containment unit. Physical strength matters less than you think, Whisper said as the cadets ran laps. War beasts are strong enough for both warrior and beast. What they need from you is mental endurance, the ability to stay present when your mind wants to flee. After training, Owen found himself in the academy library. It was a quiet place, filled with data terminals and physical books from dozens of worlds. He searched for information about war beast bonding, reading accounts from successful warriors. One passage caught his attention. It was written by a Chitara warrior bonded to a war beast for 40 years. The first roar shows you who you really are, the account read. All your pretenses, all your carefully constructed self-image, all of it shatters. What remains is your core. The beast does not judge if that core is noble or simple, brave or afraid. It only judges if that core is real. Authenticity is the only currency that matters in bonding. Owen read the passage 3 times. Authenticity. Being real. He thought about the cadets he had watched yesterday. The ones who bonded successfully had not necessarily been the bravest or strongest, but they had seemed comfortable in themselves, whoever they were. Interesting reading choice. Owen looked up. Commandant Hrell stood beside his table, massive and imposing even in the quiet library. I wanted to understand, Owen said. And do you? I understand that I cannot prepare by being stronger or braver. I can only prepare by being honest about what I am. Hrell's eyes studied Owen carefully. You are not like other humans. The ones we have tested before were aggressive, eager to prove themselves. You watch more than you act. Watching tells you more, Owen said. Sometimes. Sometimes it is just an excuse to avoid action. Hrell paused. You are scheduled to bond this afternoon. A young war beast named Stoneback will face you. He is eager, relatively gentle for his kind. A good match for first-time cadets. Commandant, Owen said carefully, I would like to request a different beast. Which one? Greyclaw. The library went very quiet. Even Whisper, working at a nearby terminal, turned to listen. That is not possible, Hrell said. Why not? Because Greyclaw is dangerous. Because he has killed cadets. Because 80 years of rejection have made him bitter and selective beyond reason. Hrell leaned down, bringing his massive head level with Owen's. Because you are human, and your species has only just joined the coalition. Your death would create political complications. I am not planning to die. No cadet ever plans to die. It happens anyway. Owen met Hrell's gaze. I hear him at night, from the sealed arena. He sounds lonely, not angry. Everyone sees a dangerous beast that kills cadets. I think they are missing something important. And what do you see? Someone waiting for something real. Someone tired of being tested by people who want to prove themselves instead of connect with him. Hrell straightened up. You have thought about this carefully. Yes, Commandant. And if I refuse? Then I will bond with Stoneback and serve as best I can. But I will always wonder if I missed something important. If maybe the reason Greyclaw has waited 80 years is because everyone approaches him with the wrong intention. Hrell was silent for a long moment. Then he said, Come with me. They walked through the academy to the sealed arena. Broken Scale was there, performing maintenance on the exterior walls. He saw them approaching, and his eyes widened. Commandant, surely you are not... Open the arena, Hrell said. But the human... I am aware of what I am asking, open it. Broken Scale produced a key card and began unlocking the chains. Each lock released with a heavy clank. Finally, the main entrance stood unsealed for the first time in months. Wait here, Hrell told Owen. The Commandant entered the arena alone. Owen heard voices inside, one deep and rumbling that he felt in his chest more than heard with his ears. The conversation lasted several minutes. Then Hrell emerged. Greyclaw has agreed to see you. This is not a formal bonding ceremony. This is an introduction. If he wishes to kill you, I will intervene. If he wishes to reject you, you will leave and bond with another beast. Do you understand? Yes, Commandant. I am doing this because I have watched you this week. You do not move like someone seeking glory. You move like someone who has already survived things that would break others. That might mean something to Greyclaw, or it might mean nothing. Hrell stepped aside. Enter. Owen walked through the entrance into darkness. The arena interior was old, built from rough stone that predated the modern academy by centuries. What little light there was came from gaps in the ceiling where rain had damaged the structure. The floor was dirt and rock, scarred with ancient claw marks. At the far end of the arena, something moved. Greyclaw emerged from the shadows, and Owen understood immediately why this war beast was legendary. He was enormous, larger than any beast Owen had seen bonded yesterday. His scales were dark gray, almost black in places, crossed with countless scars. His eyes were not the golden color of younger beasts, but a deep amber that seemed to see through everything. The ancient war beast approached slowly, each step deliberate. Owen stood still, not from bravery but from simple awareness that running would be pointless. Greyclaw could cross the distance in seconds. The beast circled him once, then stopped directly in front of Owen. They were so close that Owen could feel heat radiating from the massive body, could smell something like hot metal and old earth. "You are small," Greyclaw said. The voice came directly into Owen's mind, deep and resonant. It was not unkind, just observational. "Yes," Owen said aloud, then trying to think the words instead. "I am small. Humans are small compared to most species here. Why do you come to my arena, small human? Because I heard you at night. You sounded lonely." Greyclaw made a sound that might have been surprise. Many cadets come here thinking they will be the one to bond with the great Greyclaw. They see glory. They see fame. You see loneliness? That is what I heard in your voice. The beast circled him again, slower this time. "What is your name?" "Owen Harris." "Why are you here at this academy, Owen Harris?" "To prove humans can serve in the coalition forces. That is what your species wants. Why are you here?" Owen thought about that. "Because I spent my whole childhood taking care of people who needed me. When the coalition offered humanity a place in the galaxy, I thought maybe I could do that on a bigger scale. Take care of people by protecting them. You wish to be a protector. I do not know if I wish it, but I seem to be built for it." Greyclaw stopped circling and faced Owen directly. "Most cadets who come here want to bond with me because I am famous. They want the prestige. 3 cadets came thinking they could force a bond through dominance, through showing me they were strong enough to make me submit. I killed them. Not from anger, but from disappointment." "I am not here for prestige," Owen said, "and I am definitely not here to prove I am stronger than you." "Then why?" Owen chose his words carefully. "Because I think you are waiting for something, and everyone who comes here gives you the wrong thing. They give you ambition or pride or desire for glory. But those are not what you need." "What do I need, small human?" "I think you need someone who understands what it means to keep going when the bond that defined you is broken. Someone who knows that survival is not about being strong. It is about refusing to quit even when quitting makes perfect sense." The arena went completely silent. Even the distant sounds from the academy faded. Greyclaw's amber eyes locked onto Owen's, and suddenly the space between them vanished. Owen felt a presence in his mind, not invasive but questioning. It felt like Greyclaw was reading something written in his thoughts. Images flashed through Owen's awareness. His parents' funeral, his siblings crying, himself at 15, trying to cook dinner and burning it, nights lying awake wondering how he would pay bills. The slow grinding realization that he could not be a child anymore because 3 younger children needed him to be an adult. The memories were not dramatic. There were no battles, no moments of obvious heroism, just years of small decisions to keep going, to get up every morning, to try again when things failed, to be present for people who needed him even when he wanted to disappear. "You have lost people," Greyclaw said softly. "Yes. And you continued anyway." "I had to. My siblings needed me. And now? They are grown. You could have refused the coalition's call. Why did you not?" Owen felt tears on his face and did not bother wiping them away. "Because I learned that I am someone who stands firm when others need me, not because I am brave. Because walking away would make me someone I do not want to be." Greyclaw was quiet for a long time. Then, in a voice that carried 80 years of grief, he said, "I lost my bonded. Steelmark fell in battle, and I carried his body home. For 80 years, cadets have come to me seeking glory, seeking fame, seeking to prove they are worthy of bonding with the legendary Greyclaw. Not one has understood what I tear. You seek? What do you seek? Someone real. Someone who knows that bonds matter more than glory. Someone who has lost and continued, who has been broken and rebuilt themselves, who understands that the greatest strength is not never falling, but always rising." The massive head lowered slightly. "I do not know if you are that person, Owen Harris. But you are the first in 80 years who might be." "I am not special," Owen said. "No," Greyclaw agreed. "But perhaps that is what makes you different. Every other cadet has tried to show me how special they are. You simply show me who you are. Is that enough? I do not know yet. But it is worth exploring." Greyclaw stepped back. Return tomorrow. Not for a bonding ceremony. Not to prove anything. Just to talk. I wish to know more about humans who raise siblings and keep standing and cry without shame. Owen nodded, not trusting his voice. He walked out of the arena where Harel waited. The commandant studied him carefully. You are alive. And unmarked. That is more than most achieve. Harel paused. What happened in there? We talked, Owen said. Just talked. Greyclaw does not just talk to anyone. Maybe that is the problem, Owen said quietly. Maybe everyone has been trying to bond with him instead of know him. Harel's expression was unreadable, but after a moment he said, Return tomorrow. We will see what happens. Owen walked back to the dormitory as evening fell. Tomorrow he would face Greyclaw again. Not as a test. Not as a challenge. Just as two beings who had survived loss trying to understand if they could help each other keep surviving. It was strange. It was unprecedented, but somehow it felt more right than anything Owen had done since arriving at the academy. Tomorrow would bring answers. Tonight, for the first time since arriving on Thornhaven, Owen slept soundly. News traveled fast through the academy. By breakfast, everyone knew that the human cadet Owen Harris had entered Greyclaw's arena and emerged alive. The other cadets looked at Owen with new expressions. Some showed respect. Others showed fear. A few showed resentment that a human might achieve what their species had not. Owen ignored them all and ate his breakfast in silence. Davis sat across from him, studying his face. They are saying you are going back today, she said. Yes. Why would you do that? You survived once. Why risk it again? Because Greyclaw asked me to return. Davis set down her utensil. The war beast that has rejected everyone for 80 years asked you specifically to come back? Yes. Owen, that does not make sense. War beasts do not ask. They bond or they reject. There is no middle ground. Maybe there should be, Owen said. Maybe the problem is that everyone rushes to bond without understanding first. Another human cadet, a woman named Rivers, leaned over from a nearby table. Is it true you cried in front of Greyclaw? Yes, Owen said. And he did not attack you? No, Rivers shook her head. Everyone says showing weakness to a war beast is suicide. They respect strength, dominance, control. They respect truth, Owen said. Crying was true. Pretending I was not affected would have been false. After breakfast, Owen went to the sealed arena. Broken Scale was there again, and this time he unlocked the entrance without being asked. The old maintenance worker looked at Owen with something like cautious hope. Whatever you did yesterday, Broken Scale said, it was good. Greyclaw was calmer last night than I have heard him in years. He did not roar at shadows. He simply rested. I did not do anything special, Owen said. Perhaps not doing something special is what he needed. Owen entered the arena. Morning light streamed through the damaged ceiling, illuminating dust in the air. Greyclaw was waiting in the center, his massive form relaxed rather than tense. You returned, Greyclaw said, his mental voice warm. You asked me to. Many cadets would not. They would take their survival as victory enough and never risk facing me again. Owen approached until he stood a few feet from the war beast. In daylight, he could see more details. The scars were not random. They formed patterns that suggested deliberate combat, strategies played out across Greyclaw's body. This was not a beast who had merely survived. This was a warrior who had fought with intelligence and purpose. Tell me about Steelmark, Owen said. Greyclaw's eyes seemed to focus on something far away. He was scaleborn, like Commandant Harel, but taller, broader. He came to this academy 300 years ago as a young cadet. I was young then too, newly matured, eager to bond. What made you choose him? He did not try to impress me. When I roared, he stood firm, but I saw in his mind that he was terrified. He did not hide it. He simply acknowledged the fear and stood anyway. After the roar, I asked him why he wanted to bond. He said, because I want to protect people who cannot protect themselves, and I think together we could do that better than either of us could alone. Simple words. True words. We bonded that day. How long were you together? 220 years. We fought in 17 major campaigns. We saved worlds. We lost friends. We grew old together in our way. Greyclaw's voice grew softer. The day he fell, we were defending a colony world from raiders. A plasma weapon struck him. His armor failed. I felt the moment his mind went silent in mine. It was like losing half of myself. I am sorry, Owen said and meant it. For 80 years I have tested cadets. All of them wanted to bond with the famous Greyclaw. None of them wanted to know Greyclaw the person, the being who still grieves his partner. None of them asked about Steelmark. You are the first. That seems wrong, Owen said. If you bond with someone, you should know their history. You should understand what shaped them. You understand this because of your siblings. Yes. When I became responsible for them, I learned their fears, their hopes, their individual needs. I could not help them if I only saw them as responsibilities. I had to see them as people. Greyclaw moved closer, lowering his massive head until it was level with Owen's chest. I want to show you something. Memories, will you permit this? Yes. What happened next was difficult to describe. Greyclaw's mind touched Owen's more deeply than before. Images flowed, not as visions, but as experiences. Owen felt what it was like to be Greyclaw, felt the bond with Steelmark not as an abstract concept, but as a living connection, two minds working as one. He experienced battles from Greyclaw's perspective, the fear and exhilaration, the trust required to let a bonded warrior guide your actions. Then he felt Steelmark's death, the sudden, terrible silence where a voice had always been, the weight of a body that would never move again, the journey back to base carrying that body, refusing to leave it behind, and then 80 years of emptiness waiting for a connection that felt real again. When the memories faded, Owen was sitting on the ground, tears streaming down his face. Greyclaw lay beside him, his breathing heavy. Now you understand, the warbeast said. Yes, Owen whispered. You have been alone for so long. Every cadet who comes here sees a prize to be won. You see a person who has suffered loss. That difference matters more than you know. They sat in silence for a while. Finally, Owen said, What happens now? I do not know. Bonding is not something I take lightly. It is not something that can be rushed. But I think perhaps we might try to understand each other better, see if we are compatible. How do we do that? We talk. We share memories. We learn each other's patterns of thought. If a natural harmony emerges, bonding becomes possible. If not, we part as friends who tried. Greyclaw paused. I have not had a friend in 80 years. Even that would be valuable. I would like that, Owen said. Over the next week, Owen spent hours each day with Greyclaw. They did not follow the traditional bonding process. Instead, they simply existed together. Greyclaw shared memories of battles, of Steelmark, of the long years alone. Owen shared his own memories of Earth, of raising his siblings, of small struggles that seemed insignificant compared to galactic warfare, but shaped him just as deeply. The Academy watched with fascination and confusion. Commandant Hrell observed several sessions, never commenting, always thoughtful. Other cadets bonded with their warbeasts and began training. Davis bonded with an older beast named Ironhide, who had been rejected by multiple cadets. The match surprised everyone, but Owen was not surprised. Davis understood rejection now. So did Ironhide. That shared understanding created space for connection. On the 7th day, something changed. Owen entered the arena and Greyclaw was pacing, agitated. What is wrong? Owen asked. I am afraid, Greyclaw admitted. Of what? Of bonding again. Of opening myself to that connection and then losing it. When Steelmark died, part of me died with him. I do not know if I can survive that pain again. Owen sat down in the dirt. When my parents died, I thought I would never feel safe again. Every good thing that happened, I waited for it to be taken away. It took me years to understand that protecting myself from loss meant protecting myself from connection. And humans are not meant to be alone. Neither are warbeasts, I think. But the risk is real, Owen said. I cannot promise I will not die. I cannot promise that bonding with me will not bring you pain eventually, but I can promise that the time we have will be real, that I will not take the bond lightly, that I will honor what you shared with Steelmark by being fully present in what we share. Greyclaw stopped pacing. You speak of connection like it is inevitable. Is it not? We have spent a week learning each other. I feel you in my thoughts even when we are apart. I think you feel me too. I do, Greyclaw admitted. Your mind has a quality like quiet water, steady, reflective. It reminds me of Steelmark in some ways, though you are very different beings. Is that enough? I do not know, but I think I'm ready to try. The massive warbeast approached Owen. The traditional bonding requires that I roar, that I test your mental strength, but we have already moved beyond tradition. What happens now is between us only. What do? We open our minds completely. No barriers, no protection. We allow our thoughts to merge and see if harmony emerges naturally. It is more intimate than the traditional method, more vulnerable. I trust you, Owen said, and I, perhaps foolishly, trust you. Greyclaw lowered his head until his snout nearly touched Owen's chest. Owen reached up and placed both hands on the warm scales. He felt Greyclaw's presence in his mind, no longer showing memories but simply existing there. Owen relaxed every mental barrier he had, letting Greyclaw see everything. His fears, his doubts, his small everyday thoughts, the silly things he worried about, the deep grief he still carried for his parents. In return, he felt Greyclaw's mind fully. The ancient weariness, the bone-deep loneliness, the fierce protective instinct that defined war beasts, the lingering love for Steelmark that would never fully fade. Their thoughts did not become one. They remained separate, distinct. But they found a rhythm, a way of existing together that felt natural, like two instruments playing different melodies that somehow harmonized. The bond formed not as a dramatic moment, but as a gradual awareness that it had already happened. Owen felt Greyclaw's presence settle into his mind like it had always been there. Felt their thoughts begin to move in coordination without conscious effort. Greyclaw made a sound that was almost a sigh of relief. "It is done," the war beast said, and his voice was no longer just in Owen's mind. It was part of Owen's thoughts, as natural as his own internal voice. "Yes," Owen said. And new Greyclaw felt his joy, his relief, his overwhelming sense of rightness. They stood together in the arena, bonded at last. After 80 years of waiting, Greyclaw had found a partner. After a lifetime of carrying responsibility alone, Owen had found someone to share the weight. Outside, Broken Scale heard no roar. He heard only silence, and that silence told him everything. The famous war beast who rejected everyone had finally found someone worth accepting. The bond felt like learning to breathe underwater. Strange at first, then gradually natural. Owen woke the next morning feeling Greyclaw's presence in his mind before he opened his eyes. The war beast was already awake, thinking about the day's training, about food, about whether the weather would be clear. "Good morning," Owen thought, and felt Greyclaw's warm acknowledgement. "Morning, small partner. The academy is already talking about us." Owen dressed and left the dormitory. Greyclaw was right. Everywhere he walked, cadets stared. Some with respect, others with envy, a few with hostility. By the time he reached the dining hall, Commandant Hrell was waiting for him. "Come with me, Harris," Hrell said. They walked to the command building, a towering structure at the academy's heart. Inside, Hrell's office overlooked the training grounds. The commandant gestured for Owen to sit. "Yesterday, sensors in Greyclaw's arena detected a bond formation," Hrell said. "The first in 80 years. The entire Galactic Defense Coalition wants to know how a human cadet accomplished what thousands of others could not." "I did not accomplish anything," Owen said. "Greyclaw and I simply understood each other." That simplicity is what baffles everyone. Warbeast bonding is studied extensively. We have protocols, training methods, psychological preparation. You ignored all of it and succeeded through conversation. Maybe the protocols are wrong. Hrell's eyes narrowed. "Explain." "The protocols treat bonding like a test to pass. Stand firm, show strength, prove worthiness." But Greyclaw was not looking for strength. He was looking for authenticity, for someone who understood loss and connection. The protocols could never teach that, because it is not something you learn. It is something you live. And you lived it. Yes, not by choice, but yes. Hrell was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "The Coalition wants to study your bond. They want to understand if this represents something unique about humans or something unique about you specifically. Are you willing to be examined? If it helps other cadets bond, yes. It may help. Or it may reveal that your bond is an anomaly, unrepeatable." Hrell leaned back. "Regardless, you are now a bonded warrior. Your training shifts to combat synchronization, tactical coordination, and field deployment. You will train with Greyclaw every day. The bond is formed, but it must be strengthened through use." Owen nodded. Through the mental link, he felt Greyclaw's approval. Training began that afternoon. The combat arena was enormous, designed for bonded pairs to practice together. Owen entered with Greyclaw walking beside him. Other bonded pairs were already training, warriors and beasts moving in perfect coordination. The instructor was a Chitara named Sharpedge, his crystalline body refracting light in rainbow patterns. He studied Owen and Greyclaw with multifaceted eyes. "Harris and Greyclaw," Sharpedge said, his voice clicking. "Your bonding method was unconventional. We will see if your combat coordination suffers from this. We are ready to learn, Owen said. First exercise, basic synchronization. Warrior, you will move through the obstacle course. Warbeast, you will follow, anticipating movements without verbal commands. The bond should provide all communication needed. Owen approached the course. It was a maze of walls, barriers, and platforms requiring climbing, jumping, and quick direction changes. Without discussion, he began running. Greyclaw followed, his massive body moving with surprising grace. When Owen jumped left, Greyclaw was already moving left. When Owen climbed a wall, Greyclaw circled to the other side, anticipating where Owen would descend. They completed the course in reasonable time. Sharpage clicked thoughtfully. Adequate, but you hesitate, Harris. You think before moving, which creates lag in the beast's response. A good bond requires you to move instinctively, trusting your partner to follow. They tried again. This time Owen stopped thinking about the course and simply moved. Let his body react while his mind stayed open to Greyclaw. The improvement was immediate. They flowed through the obstacles like water, each movement coordinated without conscious effort. Better, Sharpage said. Now combat simulation. Drones activated around the arena, targeting systems locking onto Owen and Greyclaw. They were training drones, firing energy pulses that stung but did not injure. The first pulse shot toward Owen. Greyclaw moved without being asked, his armored body blocking the shot. Owen rolled right, came up running, and Greyclaw was already moving to protect his new position. More drones activated. The simulation became chaotic, pulses coming from multiple directions. Owen found himself moving in patterns he had never learned, his body responding to Greyclaw's instincts as much as his own. When a drone approached from behind, Owen felt Greyclaw's awareness and ducked at the exact moment the war beast's tail swept through the space where Owen's head had been, smashing the drone. The simulation ended. They had eliminated all targets without taking a single hit. Sharpage approached, his clicking rapid with what might have been excitement. Remarkable. Your synchronization rivals pairs who have trained together for months. The bond between you must be exceptionally strong. It is, Owen said, feeling Greyclaw's agreement. Over the following weeks, training intensified. Owen learned to fight while Greyclaw protected him, to give commands through pure thought, to trust his bonded partner completely. The mental link grew stronger, more nuanced. He began to understand Greyclaw's thoughts without them being directly communicated, to sense the war beast's intentions before they formed fully. Davis approached him one day after training. Her own bond with Ironhide was progressing well, though differently than Owen's with Greyclaw. They're talking about deploying us soon, Davis said. Real missions, not simulations. I heard. Are you ready? I do not know. Ironhide and I work well together, but we are not like you and Greyclaw. We do not have that deep connection. Our bond is more professional, less personal. That might be what you both need, Owen said. Not every bond has to look the same. Ironhide says something similar. He tells me that he appreciates our bond because it is uncomplicated. After being rejected multiple times, he finds relief in a partnership that is clear and functional. Owen understood. Some relationships were deep and consuming. Others were supportive and practical. Both had value. The deployment orders came 3 weeks after Owen and Greyclaw bonded. A distress signal from a research station in the outer territories. Raiders were attacking. The station's defenses were failing. A quick response team was needed. Commandant Hrell selected 5 bonded pairs, including Owen and Greyclaw, Davis, and Ironhide. They traveled on a coalition fast response ship, a sleek vessel designed for rapid deployment. Owen spent the journey in the cargo bay with Greyclaw, mentally reviewing the mission briefing while his bonded partner rested. Nervous? Greyclaw asked. Yes, this is real. People might die if we fail. People might die even if we succeed. That is the nature of conflict. But we will do our best, and that is all anyone can ask. You have done this hundreds of times. I have never been in real combat. No, but you have been responsible for lives before. Your siblings depended on you. This is the same, just larger scale. The comparison helped. Owen had spent years making decisions that affected his siblings' well-being. This was different in scope, but not in essence. The ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the research station. The situation was immediately visible. 3 raider ships, smaller but heavily armed, surrounded the station. Energy blasts struck the station's shields repeatedly. Fast insertion. the mission commander announced. Boarding pods directly to the station. We secure the facility and hold until reinforcements arrive. Owen and Greyclaw entered their assigned pod with 2 other bonded pairs. The pod launched, accelerating toward the station at speeds that made Owen's stomach lurch. They punched through the weakened shields and docked at an emergency airlock. The pod opened. Owen and Greyclaw were first out, emerging into a corridor filled with smoke and emergency lighting. Alarms blared. Through the mental link, Owen felt Greyclaw's combat instincts activate, his senses sharpening. This way, Greyclaw said, his nose detecting sense Owen could not. Raiders 3 corridors ahead. 6 of them. They moved quickly but carefully. The other bonded pairs followed their lead. When they reached the corridor where the raiders waited, Owen felt Greyclaw's tactical assessment flow through their bond. The raiders had superior position cover, better weapons. Frontal assault will fail, Greyclaw's thought came clearly. But they expect us to come from this direction only. Can you reach them from above? Owen asked mentally. The ceiling access panels, yes. Give me 30 seconds. Greyclaw moved silently despite his size, finding a maintenance access and disappearing into the ceiling. Owen counted to 30, then stepped into the corridor, making himself visible. The raiders opened fire immediately. Owen dove behind a support column, energy blasts scorching the air where he had stood. The raiders advanced, confident in their superior firepower. Then Greyclaw dropped from the ceiling behind them. The warbeast was terrifying in combat. His claws raked through armor. His tail sent raiders flying. His roar, which Owen felt through their bond, was a physical weapon that disoriented and frightened. The raiders who had been so confident moments ago scattered in panic. Owen moved while they were distracted, working with the other bonded pairs to contain the raiders without killing them. Coalition policy preferred capture when possible. Within minutes, all 6 raiders were subdued. Station control. This is response team, Owen's commander reported. Section B secured, moving to Section C. They cleared the station section by section. Owen and Greyclaw's coordination proved invaluable. The bond let them operate as one unit, covering each other's weaknesses, amplifying each other's strengths. When Owen was pinned down, Greyclaw was already moving to protect him. When Greyclaw was surrounded, Owen's covering fire gave him space to maneuver. By the time reinforcements arrived, the station was secure. The raiders had been captured or driven off. The research staff were shaken but alive. In the aftermath, as Owen sat in the cargo bay during the return journey, he felt exhaustion settle into his bones. Real combat was nothing like simulation. The stakes, the fear, the split-second decisions with lives hanging in the balance. You did well, small partner, Greyclaw thought warmly. We did well, Owen corrected. Yes, we did. Davis approached, her armor scorched but intact. That was intense. Yes. You and Greyclaw move like you have been bonded for years, not weeks. The bond is strong. Maybe because it took so long to form. Maybe because we both understand what we need from each other. Ironhide says Greyclaw is calmer than he has been in decades. Says the old warrior seems almost happy. Owen looked at his bonded partner, resting but alert. Through their link, he felt contentment, purpose, the satisfaction of protecting others successfully. Yes, Greyclaw was happy, and so was Owen. They had proven something important today. Not just that a human could bond with a warbeast, but that bonds formed through understanding rather than dominance could be just as effective, perhaps more so than traditional methods. The galaxy was watching, and the galaxy was learning that humans brought something new to the coalition. Not superior strength, not advanced technology, but a different understanding of what it meant to connect with others. As the ship carried them back to Thornhaven, Owen felt Greyclaw's presence in his mind, steady and reassuring. Whatever challenges came next, they would face them together. That certainty was worth more than all the glory in the galaxy. 3 months after the research station mission, Owen stood in Commandant Hrell's office again. This time he was not alone. Greyclaw waited outside, too large for the building. But their mental link kept them connected. Representatives from 5 different coalition species filled the room, their attention focused entirely on Owen. Your bonding with Greyclaw has created significant interest, said a Void-born administrator named Current Stream. Not just scientific interest, but political. Some species see it as proof that humans belong in the coalition. Others see it as concerning, that humans can form connections we do not fully understand. I am just one person, Owen said. One bond does not represent all of humanity. Actually, said a Chitara scientist named Precision Cut, it might. Since your successful bond, we have observed 17 other humans bond with war beasts. The success rate is significantly higher than any other species. More interestingly, humans consistently bond with war beasts that other species reject. What do you mean? Precision Cut displayed holographic data. War beasts that are older, scarred, damaged, or rejected by multiple cadets. These are the ones humans bond with most successfully. It suggests something unique about human psychology. Or, Owen said carefully, it suggests that humans understand rejection and damage because we have experienced it ourselves. The representatives exchanged glances. A scaleborn general named Hardshell spoke next. We have studied human history extensively since your species joined the coalition. Your planet has subjected your species to repeated extinction-level challenges, ice ages, predators, diseases, wars. Any other species would have developed advanced technology earlier, or simply died out. Humans did neither. You adapted, endured, and kept going with relatively primitive tools. Survival is what we do, Owen said. Yes, and war beasts recognize this. They evolved as apex predators on a harsh world. They respect persistence over dominance. This is why traditional bonding protocols emphasize standing firm during the roar. But that only tests one kind of strength. Humans possess a different kind. The strength to keep going when everything says to quit. Is that why you called me here? Owen asked. To tell me humans are good at surviving? Current stream's gaseous form swirled with what might have been agitation. We called you here because the coalition is facing a decision. Earth has been a provisional member for 2 years. The Council votes next month on whether to grant full membership. Your bond with Greyclaw has become symbolic of this debate. That seems unfair to both me and Earth. Perhaps, but politics rarely cares for fairness, Hardshell said. There are council members who argue that humans are too emotionally unstable, too prone to conflict, too dangerous to integrate fully. Then there is you, bonded to a war beast that rejected thousands of others, proving effective in combat, demonstrating qualities we did not expect. Owen felt Greyclaw's presence in his mind, listening through their bond. What do you want from me? We want you to understand the responsibility you carry, Precision Cut said. Every action you take, every mission you complete, every interaction you have reflects on your entire species. It is an enormous burden. I already knew that, Owen said quietly. I carried similar burden when I raised my siblings. Their future depended on my decisions. This is larger in scale but not different in essence. The representative seemed surprised by this response. Krell, who had been silent until now, spoke. This is what I have been trying to explain to the Council. Humans do not view responsibility the way we do. For most species, responsibility is weight that crushes or glory that elevates. For humans, it is simply what must be done. They carry it without expectation of reward or fear of burden. That is an oversimplification, Owen said. Humans feel fear and desire reward like anyone else. But we also have this capacity to just keep going regardless. Maybe it comes from our evolutionary history. Maybe it is cultural. I do not know. I just know that when my siblings needed me, quitting was not an option. When Greyclaw needed someone to understand him, walking away was not an option. And now if Earth needs me to represent our species well, I will do my best. Not because I am special, but because this is what we do. Current stream's form stabilized. That attitude is exactly what concerns some council members. Humans speak of duty and persistence as if they are simple things. But in galactic history, species driven by such feelings have sometimes become dangerous. Fanatics who cannot be reasoned with because they believe their cause is just. There is a difference, Owen said. Fanatics believe they are right. Humans who persist know they might be wrong, but keep going anyway because the alternative is abandoning responsibility. We question ourselves constantly. We doubt, we argue, but we still show up. Even when showing up might mean dying? Hardshell asked. Especially then. My parents died young, working too hard because they had children to support. They showed up every day despite knowing the work might kill them eventually. And it did. But because they showed up, my siblings and I survived. That is the trade humans make. We give what we have because others need us to. The room fell silent. Finally, Hrell said, The Council will vote in 4 weeks. Until then, Harris, continue your training and missions. Show them through action what humans can be. Owen left the office and found Greyclaw waiting in the courtyard. The war beast lowered his head and Owen pressed his forehead against the scarred snout. They put too much weight on our bond, Owen thought. Perhaps. Or perhaps they see clearly what it represents. A species that can connect with those others reject has value beyond combat effectiveness. I just want to do good work, help people, protect those who need protecting. I know, small partner. That is why we bonded. You do not seek glory. You seek purpose. And purpose is what I needed after 80 years of emptiness. The next 4 weeks blurred together. Owen and Greyclaw deployed on 3 more missions. Each one reinforced what the first had shown. Their bond gave them an edge that went beyond tactics or strength. They anticipated each other perfectly, covered weaknesses instinctively, and fought not for victory but for protection. Other human cadets bonded successfully during this time. Davis and Ironhide proved to be an effective pair, their straightforward partnership working well in structured combat. A human named Rivers bonded with a war beast so old and scarred that it had not taken a bonded warrior in 30 years. A quiet human from Asia bonded with a juvenile beast that other cadets deemed too small and weak. The pattern was undeniable. Humans gravitated toward the overlooked, the damaged, the rejected. And those bonds, formed from mutual understanding of hardship, proved as strong as any traditional bonding. Commandant Hrell gathered the human cadets one evening. The council votes tomorrow. Regardless of the outcome, know that you have proven yourselves here. You have challenged our assumptions and expanded our understanding of what bonding can be. What happens if they vote no? Davis asked. Then Earth remains a provisional member. You would still be welcome here, but humanity's expansion into coalition space would be limited. Full integration would be delayed, perhaps for decades. Owen felt the weight of this. So many human lives affected by a vote based partly on his actions. That night he could not sleep. He walked the academy grounds, ending up at the arena where he first met Greyclaw. The chains were gone now. The arena was open, used for training. But Owen still remembered standing in the darkness, hearing loneliness and a roar, choosing to return. Second guessing? Greyclaw asked, appearing beside him. Wondering if I did enough. If we did enough. We did what we could. That is all any being can do. The rest is politics and fear and calculation beyond our control. But if they vote no, it affects billions of humans. Yes. And if they vote yes, it affects trillions of coalition citizens. Big decisions have big consequences. That is the nature of significance. Greyclaw settled onto the ground. Come, sit with me. Worry changes nothing. Rest changes much. Owen sat against Greyclaw's side, feeling the warmth of armored scales, the steady breathing of his bonded partner. Through their link he felt Greyclaw's peace, his certainty that whatever came would be faced together. Morning arrived with clear skies. The vote was scheduled for midday coalition time. Owen tried to focus on training but found himself distracted. Greyclaw was patient, adjusting exercises to match Owen's scattered attention. Finally, Commandant Hrell summoned all the human cadets to the command building. They gathered in a conference room with a large display screen. Hrell stood at the front, his expression unreadable. The council has voted, he said. Before I tell you the result, I want you to know that you have all served with honor. Your bonds are real, your contributions valuable, and your presence here has changed this academy for the better. He activated the display. The voting results appeared. 47 council members had voted. 26 voted yes, 19 voted no, 2 abstained. Earth has been granted full coalition membership, Hrell said.
Humanity is now fully integrated into galactic civilization. The room erupted.
Some humans cheered, others cried with relief. Davis grabbed Owen in a fierce hug. Rivers pumped his fist in the air. Owen simply stood there, feeling Greyclaw's satisfaction through their bond. This changes everything, Davis said. Full membership means unrestricted travel, trade, cultural exchange. Earth will transform within a generation. It also means full responsibility, Owen said. We are not guests anymore. We are equals, which means we are accountable. Hrell approached Owen privately after the others left. The council's final decision came down to a speech by Precision Cut. The Chitara scientist argued that any species capable of bonding with Greyclaw deserved deeper investigation. That your connection represented something valuable the coalition needed to understand better. Your bond literally tipped the vote. Owen felt the weight of that. I was just trying to help a lonely war beast. Yes, and in doing so, you gave humanity a place in the stars. That is the strange nature of significance. The smallest, most personal actions can have the largest consequences. That evening, Owen and Greyclaw stood on a hillside overlooking the academy. Thornhaven's sunset painted the sky in impossible colors. Through their bond, they shared the moment in perfect silence. "What now?" Owen finally asked. "Now we serve. We protect. We continue the work that bonded warriors have done for 10,000 years. But we do it our way, with understanding rather than dominance, with connection rather than control. And humans? What becomes of us in this galaxy? You will be what you have always been. Survivors who refuse to quit. Beings who form connections others cannot see. Species that understands the value of the overlooked and rejected. The galaxy needs that, perhaps more than it knows." Owen thought about his siblings back on Earth, probably receiving news of full membership even now. Thought about humanity spreading into the stars, bringing their strange persistence and capacity for connection to worlds beyond counting. Thought about war beasts who had waited decades for bonds, finally finding partners who understood them. "Greyclaw, do you regret the 80 years you waited?" "I did, but not anymore. If I had bonded with any of those other cadets, I would not have been available when you arrived. The wait had purpose. It led to you. And you, small partner, were worth every year of loneliness. You are worth it too. Worth coming to this academy. Worth facing my fear. Worth everything." They stood together as darkness fell, war beast and human, bonded not through dominance but through mutual recognition. Two beings who had survived loss and loneliness, who had kept going when quitting made perfect sense, who had found in each other something both had needed desperately. In the sky above, ships came and went, carrying cadets and warriors to training and missions across the galaxy. Somewhere among them were other humans, bonding with other war beasts, proving again and again that humanity's gift to the coalition was not strength or intelligence or technology. It was the simple, stubborn refusal to quit, the capacity to see value in the rejected, the ability to form connections where others saw only impossibility. Greyclaw had roared at thousands of cadets over 80 years. Most had fled. Those who stood were still rejected. But then came a human who heard loneliness in that roar, and chose not to prove his strength but to offer understanding. And the ancient war beast, who had rejected everyone, who had killed those who tried to force bonds, who had waited 8 decades for something real, bowed, not in submission, in recognition, in welcome, in the beginning of a partnership that would change both their lives and, in small but significant ways, the future of the galaxy itself. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new missions, new opportunities to prove that bonds formed from understanding could be as strong as any forged from dominance. But tonight Owen and Greyclaw simply existed together, two survivors who had found what they needed in each other. And that was enough. More than enough. It was everything.